Okay, so what are some of the motions that we hear in the California Legislature? As you might expect, there are a number of formal motions that can be made on the floors of the California State Legislature, the House, which is the Assembly, and the Senate. These motions are contained in the respective Assembly and Senate rules. So what I want to give you is an overview of some of the motions that are specified in the Assembly rules and the Senate rules. And we'll start with Assembly rules. Assembly Rule 84 deals with motions to adjourn. These motions are not debatable, they may not be amended, and they're always in order with certain exceptions. A motion to adjourn requires a majority vote of the members present and voting. Assembly Rule 85 deals with motions to recess to a time certain. Now, these motions are treated the same as a motion to adjourn, except they are debatable when no business is before the Assembly, and that motion can be amended regarding the time and duration of the recess. Assembly Rule 86 deals with motions to lay a measure or motion on the table. These motions are not debatable and may not be amended. They're adopted by an affirmative recorded vote of either 41 votes on the Assembly floor or the similar rule on the Senate floor. A motion to lay an amendment on the table is adopted by a majority of those present and voting. Assembly Rule 87 deals with motions on the previous question, and the previous question is put before the body only when 5 Assembly members demand it who have not previously spoken on that question. The effect of this motion is to put an end to all debate and bring the Assembly to a vote. Assembly Rule 88 deals with motions to set a special order, and these motions are used to set any matter before the Assembly as a special order of business. It requires 54 votes on the Assembly floor. It's debatable only as to the propriety of setting the main question as a special order of business, and it can only be amended as to the time of that special order. Assembly Rule 89 deals with motions to postpone to a time certain, and this motion is treated as a motion to set a special order in the same way. Assembly Rule 90 deals with motions to postpone indefinitely, and these open the main question to debate. If the motion to postpone indefinitely prevails by 41 votes, then the main question may not be acted upon again during the session. Assembly Rule 91 deals with motions to amend. These motions and motions to substitute are deemed to be motions to amend, and they are debatable except where the main question to be amended is not. A motion to amend is adopted by a majority of those members present and voting on the floor. Assembly Rule 93 deals with consideration of motions, and whether a motion is in writing or made orally, motions may not be adopted until they're seconded and distinctly stated by the presiding officer of the Assembly. Assembly Rule 94 deals with written motions, and upon request of the Speaker, all motions are required to be placed in writing and read to the Assembly by the presiding officer before they can be acted upon. Assembly Rule 95 deals with the withdrawal of motions, and once it's read by the chief clerk, then bills, resolutions, and petitions are in the possession of the Assembly and can be handled by the full body. Assembly Rule 96 deals with motions to withdraw a bill or re-refer a bill. And motions to withdraw a bill or resolution from committee or to re-refer a bill or resolution from one committee to another may be made during the regular order of business on the floor. A motion to re-refer may be debated only as to the propriety of the reference of the bill to which committee, and it's a 41 vote motion. Assembly Rule 97 deals with re-reference of measures on file, and a motion to re-refer a bill or resolution that's on the daily file to a standing committee may be made during the regular order of business. It too is only debatable as to the propriety of the reference to the committee, and it requires 41 affirmative votes. Assembly Rule 98 deals with bills stricken from the file. A motion to strike a bill from the daily file can occur, or a resolution. It requires 41 votes, and then that bill or resolution may not be acted upon again during that session. Assembly Rule 99 deals with motions to rescind an action or expunge the record. And so previous to the approval of the daily journal by the full assembly, any action may be rescinded and its record ordered expunged by an affirmative recorded vote sufficient to take that action originally. And a motion to rescind the action and expunge the record may not be made twice on the same measure. And finally, there's Assembly Rule 100 that deals with reconsideration of votes. A motion to reconsider a vote on the next legislative day must be made on the same day that the vote to be reconsidered was taken. And a motion to reconsider may not be adopted unless it receives at least 41 affirmative votes. A motion to reconsider requires a second. So now let's turn to the Senate rules, where there are major motions being made. Senate Rule 29.2 deals with striking from the daily file, and a motion to strike any bill, resolution, or other question from the daily file requires 21 votes. And the bill, resolution, or other question that is struck from the file may not be acted upon again during the legislative session. Senate Rule 34 deals with statements of a motion. A motion may not be debated until it's distinctly announced by the presiding officer, and it must be in writing if desired by any senator and read by the secretary before it is actually debated. Senate Rule 39 deals with motions to lay on the table. When an amendment is proposed to any pending measure and is laid on the table, it may not be considered as part of the measure. Senate Rule 40 deals with the division of a question. So if a question on debate contains more than one distinct proposition, any senator may have that question divided. For example, when there are several gubernatorial appointees that are set to be considered as one daily file item, any senator can ask them to be divided and separate votes be taken. Senate Rule 41 deals with the previous question, and the previous question on the Senate floor must be put in the following form. Shall the question be now put? It requires a majority vote of those senators present and voting, and the effect of this moving the previous question is to put an end to all debate. And then there's Senate Rule 43 that deals with reconsideration. On the day on which a vote has been taken on any question, a motion to reconsider the vote may be made by any member of the Senate, and reconsideration may be granted only once. The motion may be considered on the day it was made or on a succeeding legislative day, but it may not be further postponed after the second legislative day without the concurrence of 3/4 of the membership. While other motions can be made on the floors of the Senate and Assembly, these motions that we've talked about today are specifically addressed by the respective House rules. And so other motions that are sometimes made are contained in Mason's manual.